Okay, dude. I mean, I know you've been keeping track of this whole Deshaun Watson sweepstakes.
Yes,
It's been like a year already, right? Almost 2 years of this stuff going on with him.
I think the lawsuit started in March of 2021.
This was last off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the massages stopped in this early spring of 2020. So it took about a year to go from the end of the massages to the lawsuit, and now we're 17-ish months later.
17 months later. But like, before we get into some of the new stuff that's come out, let's give it a small little. Yeah, exactly. That word's gonna come up a little bit later. But we'll get into it. Starting off, like you said, March of 2021, when he first requested the trade, and then that's when the allegations came out, and that's when, at first, I thought like, okay, this is a little iffy. Because remember we were talking about the attorney representing at that time it was like 18 women that had first come forward.
Like that, yeah.
Tony Busby being the neighbor of the Texans owner at the time, right? And so that's when I was like, okay, they request this trade.
All he had to do was just get the leaves off of his grass, and none of this would happen.
Right? Yeah, exactly, dude. No, but what I was kind of saying is like, well, the Texans owner, this already came out after he had requested the trade. This was when he's like, I want to get out of here. Like he was adamant about leaving, and then the allegations came out. It was like a few days later, and that's when I thought things were a little bit weird. Okay, like the Texans owner, he's kind of his back's against the wall. He's got to do something, and then these allegations come out. But the lawyer representing these women happened to be your neighbor, so. That's where I started, things maybe a little bit fishy, but then you start hearing the stories, and then you start hearing, everything that comes out after the fact, and then, so we go through all this. He doesn't play for the whole 2021 season, sits out an entire year, then he doesn't settle it, but the grand jury in Texas drops these cases,
Two
right?
of them, right?
It was all 23 cases, right? Two grand juries don't indict him. And so that's when, a lot of people were speculating, okay, maybe this is the end of it. Now what's coming up next is just seeing what happens with the NFL and how the NFL decides to punish him.
NFL responded with the trade, right? That's what they did. I think that's the next step, right? He gets traded,
and then he got traded, and then that's when he went ahead. He got traded, and
got a raise.
And then that's where we
top of that.
That's where we got to talk about it, about the Browns, which I think we'll get into a little bit later. The whole situation with the Browns. Gets traded to the Browns, signs a 5-year deal worth $230 million, fully guaranteed. And at the time we're thinking, what the hell? Because nobody thought the Browns were even in contention, right? Everybody thought it was going to be either New Orleans or Carolina. But I guess the Browns were off the table until they gave them this contract, fully guaranteed money. Like it almost seems like it was Deshaun Watson's agent who wrote up the contract. Like that contract's OP as fuck.
5 years, give me that money.
And $230 million guaranteed. Yeah. That's insane. So we go through that, and then we're still waiting for the NFL to make their punishment, and then we're waiting for the civil lawsuits to come to a conclusion. And then this week, a 24th allegation, which is pretty bad. Comes on the New York Times. Do you want to go through it, or do you want to
go ahead?
24th woman. This comes out in the New York Times. Which a lot of information alleges that Watson met with 66 women over a massage over a span of 17 months, which is a lot. I saw another article somewhere where it was over 100, but I think that was over the span maybe of 2 years, which it is weird, right?
Yeah.
And then it also comes out in the same article, it comes out how the Texans actually provided non-disclosure agreements for him. Which is also weird as fuck. Because
I think that they knew this shit was going on the whole time.
You think so?
I think they're the middleman here, setting up all of these massages. I think that a lot of them were like, Deshaun's like, hey, I need a different girl. Hey, I need someone else. this dude this one isn't helping me here.
So the way I took it, it's if you're a big time star, you're gonna want non-disclosure agreements no matter what, right? So like if you're I heard AJ Hawk earlier say, like, for example, if you're Tom Brady and you have somebody coming over to clean your house, you would want to provide that non-disclosure agreement, right? Like say, I mean.
You don't want the maid to know that you kiss your son on the lips.
Exactly.
Right.
Or, I mean, I was thinking maybe along the line of like, oh, if he's watching film or something, or he's drawing up some plays, something like that. But when it comes to a masseuse, though, and then it's also weird too, where I saw I forgot what reporter comes out and said that if you're a professional athlete, do you really want 66 different people working on your body? Like, dude, that's how you make your money. People, like, I know, when I used to train at the gym, I know people that were competing, they would get super weird if anybody else were to like treat their injuries or something. They would want their own coach. Yeah. So that's where I think it's weird. Even when I played, I felt like this trainer is the trainer that I like. I would prefer to go to them. I wouldn't want some brand new person massage me, especially like leading up to a game, right? Especially if you play in the most important position on the fucking football field.
Right.
So that's when I think things got a little bit weird. And then seeing that article came out and said that that the Texans were the ones that provided the non-disclosure agreements. So, which kind of leads me to believe now, which is, like you said, they kind of knew some of this stuff was going on, right? They had to have. And that's where I start to go back to, okay, well, if they knew what was going on, and then he requested the trade, and then now you go ahead, okay, now you tell the lawyer, okay, let's go ahead, let's bring this stuff forward.
Yeah.
It almost make it seem like
I feel like the Texans felt stabbed in the back that he wanted to leave.
Right. 100%.
It was like, you know what? Then I'm going to blackmail you, essentially.
Right? Because, I mean, they were over there thinking like, hey, we've been protecting you this entire time. We have this lawyer, Tony, Bugsby, who's a pretty well-known lawyer. He's really good at what he does. He's going to represent you. We provide you non-disclosure agreements, and now you do this shit to us. So now we're gonna fucking throw your career under the rug. Mm-hmm.
My situation, it's very roller coaster like my emotion and how I feel about this whole thing. Mm-hmm. One, the grand jury said, "Nah, dude, you're good." Yeah. Okay. So then now the NFL is like, "Well, let us investigate." And now that they're going through these lawsuits individually, it's kind of like confusing and crazy to me at the same time. It's like, wait a second, legally he got cleared, like he's off the hook, and now that there's two more people coming by, I can't help but think, is this similar to like the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing? And
that's what I was going to get into coming up, but this article actually just came out about half an hour ago. And it says, it's through ESPN. It says attorney Tony Busby, Houston Texans, others to be added as defendants in lawsuit against Deshaun Watson. So
there's more
information. So that leads me to believe, okay, like what we said earlier, the Houston Texans knew about a lot of this, right? So then, this article, of course, it kind of gives a recap, but now with the new information saying that Tony Busby, he's bringing representatives from the Houston Texans as defendants against Deshaun Watson. So there's a lot of information that's probably within their organization that it's going to help his case. It's going to help the girl's case.
And it I don't know, man. It just seems very, very weird. I feel like there's just a lot of stuff that is hidden and is slowly like being uncovered, like on purpose.
Yeah.
Like it's not all out there. It's like slowly being released.
Right.
And if like the lawyers are slowly releasing it, it's like, it seems almost like like sabotage.
Right.
Like we didn't get what we wanted the first time, so now release some more.
Right.
And then we're not getting what we want now, so release some more.
Right.
More people step up.
And so that's when I got into reading the actual allegation, the stuff that OC sent us. And I remember reading that and, having mixed thoughts about it because, well, I mean, I don't want to be victim shaming here at all. But,
right, of course.
We get into it and, we hear the story and it's almost like what I remember the Epstein documentary, the one that came on Netflix, where he would have girls massage him, and then he would turn around and then start to masturbate, right? And the girls were still there massaging him or whatever. And then, but I mean, these girls, some of them already knew beforehand, that was the deal. You were gonna get paid, and then you shut up. Which I mean, fucking sucks. Like that, completely terrible. And then those girls were underage, so fuck yeah, that's illegal. But with this situation, he says, I mean, there's this back and forth where it was consensual, the stuff that happened, but some of the stuff that happened wasn't consensual because he supposedly she already knew like what the deal was, and then Deshaun Watson's attorney comes out and saying like, well, happy endings are a normal thing when you're getting a massage. Like, no, it's not.
No,
I don't think so.
No, sir.
So there's that back and forth, and then her story was okay. He reached out to her. He came over to her house. She was okay doing her job, massaging him or whatever, and then he turned around and started masturbating. And then, like the article says, it was enough time for him to, I guess, ejaculate and got some on her chest. And then, well, you and I, we kind of reacted the same. It's just like,
why didn't you leave? Why didn't you walk out? Why didn't you like back up?
Right?
Okay. First off, if he does ejaculate and it hits her on the chest, why are you that close? If
he's still doing it, right?
Yeah, if you're uncomfortable, I don't understand. Granted, I'm not there, and I'm not saying what she said is not true. Right. It just doesn't make sense to me.
It's just like you would leave the room.
You would leave. Right? You would back up. You'd call someone. You'd call 911, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if someone was in your house and they start jerking off and like, what the fuck? I don't want you here. Call the cops.
Yeah, and then my second thought was like, okay, well, why did you wait so long to come forward, right? Like you're the 24th person. This came out after, the jury failed to indict him, right? Like why wouldn't you come out sooner? And then, you kind of read into what happened, and it's almost like kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier, what happened with Louis C.K. And none of this, I guess, is technically illegal, right? Because he didn't really put his hands on her.
I don't know. I don't know what the law says about jerking off in front of someone. I mean, public indecency, but if you're in someone's house, is it not public indecency?
Yeah, because, I mean, the stuff that happened with Louis C.K., I mean, criminal charges were never pressed on him. He was just, in the court of public opinion, he was, canceled out. I mean, are they kind of trying to do the same thing here? Like, because...
I mean... I understand. I'm all for like these people, like in all these different cases, coming up and finally start speaking for themselves and whatnot. Yeah. But I don't. Now that everything that has happened with Amber Heard, I question a lot of the legitimacy in a lot of these accusations. I'm not saying that they're not true, but because this came out so late, like, are you hopping on the clout thing? You're doing it now to get the paycheck?
This comes out after he signed a $230 million deal.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And then, do you remember the one with Dr. Nassar and the gymnast?
Yes.
Something like 300 girls he felt up.
That one sucked.
That one I understand a lot easier for me to kind of get on board with because these were all minors.
Yeah.
Okay? These are 14, 15-year-old girls started as early as 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Who are they going to tell? They're not adults. They really don't have a voice or an opinion to kind of like reach out there.
And that one was crazy because a lot of those cases happened in front of the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like the parents were in the room when some of that stuff happened.
Speaking of which, they came out today. They're suing the FBI.
Yeah,
for $1 billion.
Yeah, and they should because that shit fucking sucked. I remember
that the FBI refused to do anything about it, and they're suing for $1 billion.
Yeah, and they're like, brushing it under the rug, like the Gymnast Association or whatever. It like the organization is just like how would you allow something like that to keep going on? But because that's what he does. That's his method.
I remember
that's fucking
he was
weird.
Like 2 fingers deep into like 11-year-old girls.
That sucks.
Come on,
that sucks. That really sucked.
Anyway, off topic.
Yeah. I mean. But going back to this Deshaun Watson stuff, I know I see what you're saying, and I kind of see why some people will be back and forth on this, because they're adult women, they, again, like I don't want to be like victim shaming or whatever, but they do have the capacity to come ahead and then go forward with this, right, and actually speak up. And then especially, and then it starts to get weird when the Texans are providing him with non-disclosure agreements.
I feel like we're in that era now where it's a lot easier for women to speak up, or even a guy to speak up, right? Or just harassment in general.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the best time if you're in the situation that to speak up. 15 years ago, no.
Sure.
No one was saying anything.
Yeah, and then...
So I find it very difficult for them to go 18 months without saying anything.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you start to consider, like, the stuff with the Me Too movement. I mean, a lot of it I do agree with for sure. Like if, something happened to you, especially something, really horrific, like, yeah, come forward. But I mean, things start to get a little murky when a lot of the women put themselves in a situation where like there's some type of consent, right? Like, when you're meeting with like Harvey Weinstein at 3 a.m, you're not going to go read over lines, right? Like there's probably there's a reason why you're going over there at 3 a.m. Yeah. But then, and then, I'm not saying like, oh, like every woman is responsible for that, because that dude for sure is a fucking pig. And I feel like there's more in Hollywood
I feel like a lot of people are brainwashed by the people in power.
For sure.
They're convinced that in that instant,
right,
that they believe that they're looking out for their best interest.
Yeah.
And then they kind of get cornered into that situation. Yeah. That is not the case with Deshaun Watson. What is Deshaun Watson's looking out for their best interest in massage?
Yeah.
Like, the best that's going to happen to you is he's going to make you his personal masseuse.
Right.
So in no way or any
There's
form
no quid pro quo.
Yeah. Are you weighing the options and thinking, hey, you know what? If I do this for Deshaun, I might come out somewhere better in the long run.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't.
So yeah. That's what I was trying to get into, and then we get especially what happened with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and how a lot of people are coming out and saying that that's a direct hit to the Me Too movement, right? Because now supposedly like that's gonna deter women from coming forward when it comes for like incidents of domestic abuse, right? And then do you think somehow, some way that kind of has an effect on like the public opinion, especially like in this kind of case?
Maybe it does, because I just brought it up because I think of Amber Heard, and apparently like everyone knows Amber Heard's a piece of shit,
right?
And it's not that it was all fake, but she wasn't the victim, she was the abuser, right?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp was the victim in that situation, and I think it brings to light that aspect that it's not gender, right? The whole Me Too movement needs to look, I guess, beyond gender right now, and that anyone can be harassed, whether you're male or female, in the relationship. And so I think, a lot of people are saying that this is a step back, but I think it could also be looked as a step forward in that situation, because it's not just specific to any gender that you're getting harassed or domestic violence. And that it's proof right there.
I see what you're saying. I see that. Well, with that case, it's completely different, because then you also got to take into consideration of what the man is going through, right? But in this case, he doesn't get indicted in court. So I kind of started thinking in my head, where like, okay,
he's good to go.
He's good to go. Does that mean? But then I also have a lot of questions. I was like, okay, does that mean they're all lying? Or maybe just a handful of them, or those girls just don't have enough proof?
I guess that's where like I'm very confused on why is there still stuff going on if our judicial system said he's in the clear.
Well, this is what's going on was the lawsuits, right? This is a civil lawsuits. This is completely personal, right? They're pretty much suing him for money, which is what is going on here. The other ones were criminal charges, right? And then
so what this is all like emotional damage.
Essentially, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, a lot of them have cases to where a lot of the girls says that they stopped working because of this. Like this last one that came out, she said that she left the profession.
But I don't understand. What if he got cleared of charges saying that he didn't do anything wrong? Why should he have to pay that they needed to leave?
Well, that's the thing, is that you can, when it comes to a civil lawsuit, you can sue anybody for anything. All you need is a dollar amount and prove that there was something that went wrong, that you can prove that by fact that he owes you money.
I understand that, but how can you prove anything when he was already proven innocent on charges?
He wasn't proven innocent. He was just not indicted.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a difference. So that's the thing is with the he said, she said type of cases is you can't necessarily have definitive proof on either case. He can't necessarily prove that he didn't do any of this. And, maybe if there was like a video camera that was there, I mean, at this point, if you're a guy and you have such, you have a lot of money, it almost benefits you to kind of just have a camera in every single fucking room of your house, at this point, because of stuff like this. Right. And it's happened to other athletes, but I don't think it's happened to someone who, like in this situation. But he wasn't necessarily proven innocent. He just wasn't indicted, which to me means either there wasn't enough proof to actually go ahead and actually indict him, because you have to have definitive evidence. But then you can sue somebody for whatever you want outside of the criminal court, if that makes sense.
I guess kind of mind blowing to me.
Yeah, but then not only does so whatever's going on in the civil stuff, of course he's not going to serve any jail time at this point that we know of, unless some more come out of nowhere, right? Because even Deshaun Watson's lawyers told the Browns, we didn't know who this chick is, or we didn't know she was going to come forward. I've heard a saying that there's two people that you never lie to. It's your doctor and your lawyer. So the lawyers have to know all what's going on. If Deshaun Watson was smart, he would tell his lawyers everything. So that leads me to believe either he didn't, and he's just not really competent when it comes to these situations, or legit they legit don't know anything about her. But then now what's going on is now what the NFL have to decide how to discipline him. And that's the thing is like, when you play for the NFL, especially when you're a quarterback and a very good quarterback, you provide a certain image to the NFL. Look what happened with the Ray Rice. You remember that, right? He knocked out his wife. There's video evidence, everything. They gave him a 2-game suspension at the start. People said that wasn't enough, so they went ahead, suspended him for the whole year, and then the Ravens dropped him. Yeah. Right, the Ravens released him, and then he never played again.
I think the big difference there is there's evidence.
Yeah, exactly. No,
as far as I know, there's no evidence for Deshaun Watson doing anything, right?
Exactly, but the fact that there's no evidence makes it hard for the NFL because they still have to do something. They still have to punish him some way, somehow. Games. At this point, dude, I don't even see him actually playing this whole year.
I think it's 6 games.
I don't see it.
I think. This is kind of what I really want to talk about, because we've talked about before with OC being the good old boys league, right? On how like all the owners talk and they're in the connections, like they know a lot about the NFL. So today the Browns told Baker Mayfield he doesn't have to show up to spring.
Yeah,
and basically are saying you're done here. Like we're working on trying to get you out. If that's what they're doing to someone that we assumed was going to play quarterback until Deshaun Watson was cleared, leads me to believe that they know something, that they know what is coming for Deshaun Watson, if anything is coming for Deshaun Watson. And I think it just leads me to believe that they're kind of looking at it like, you know what, who's their backup right now? They got Brissett. Jacoby. Okay. I think that they're like, you know what, Jacoby, 6 games, fine.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is we saw what Jacoby was able to do in Indianapolis, and we saw what he did in Miami. He's not going to do enough for them to win.
No, but I think that they're thinking it's better than dealing with Baker. They really chose Deshaun Watson's drama over Baker Mayfield's drama.
And that's insane.
That's insane.
Isn't that insane? And that's what I wanted to ask you too. It's just, do the Browns look like idiots, like straight up idiots? Like you gave them this enormous contract, given all the stuff that happened this past year. Yeah,
it's 2 things. They either look like the biggest idiots out there, or they're gonna look like geniuses because they know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's
because Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback.
He's an awesome quarterback. Yes.
And with that team that the Browns have, he could do something.
No, yeah, I'm not taking anything away from his game. He can perform. We saw that he can win a couple of playoff games at the very least.
So with that being said, if none of these allegations are here, right? There's none of this ever comes up with Deshaun Watson, and the Browns land him from the Texans. This looks like a great move, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. They either look like geniuses, or because they know something, or they look like complete dumbasses because this guy is being accused of sexual assault from 24 different women.
The thing is,
and they gave him a raise. I think that's where it was kind of like, dude, what? You guys give this guy a raise? He didn't do anything last year.
I don't necessarily think that they come out looking as geniuses because, I mean, you're still bringing someone into your organization that has a black cloud hanging over them.
Dude, they had Baker Mayfield.
I know, but like Baker Mayfield, there's nothing wrong or there's nothing illegal with just being an asshole. He's an asshole. Okay, whatever.
But okay. So,
but the thing is when you start bringing somebody into your organization that has a black cloud over them, because even Philadelphia, they got heat for bringing in Michael Vick, right? There was like some Philadelphia fans that like legit were like disowning their team. Like they were like, how passionate Philadelphia fans are. And
they're
then there's a lot of Brown fans who they're disowning their team, especially now that the NFL is trying to appeal a little bit more to women, right? Mm-hmm. Like they've gone through this campaign of trying to appeal to everybody. Like, I mean, I feel like the NFL, that's maybe the last audience that you kind of rope in, because in the NFL, there's, I mean, every ethnicity's out there, right? Mm-hmm. Black, white, Mexican, Asian, like a lot of people like the NFL. A lot of people I work in a very diverse place. All of them watch the NFL. Mm-hmm. Less women though. There's women that don't watch it as much. The NFL doesn't like the fact that they have a guy who's accused by 24 different women as their poster boy or as, a quarterback,
Very, very true.
And so that's where I think the Browns, I think they took an enormous risk by just offering him a contract in general or just trading for him. Because there was other teams that were trying to trade for him. Okay, I get it. You want him on your roster, but to give him this much money and then guaranteed, and then you don't even have your own situation, handled with your quarterback, because you essentially spit in his face when you did this, and then however Baker Mayfield took it is, your opinion. Yeah, I think he took it like a bitch. I do think he could have been like, okay, Cleveland, I'll see you later. It's been fun. But no, he took it up the butt. But that's just the immaturity of Baker Mayfield. Whatever. Yeah. He's an asshole.
My thing is I think they're looking at more of the standpoint of less on the opinions of the general public and what can this guy do for our team when he's got the football in his hands.
And that's where I feel like the Browns, like you made a good point. The Browns, I think, were really selfish in this situation for sure.
They don't care about the opinion of the people. Mm-hmm. They don't care about what this looks like politically and publicly,
and potentially it's going to come back to bite them in the butt. It looks that way, because I honestly, with his new allegations, I mean, I was expecting 6-8 games, maybe half a season. But with this new one coming forward, and there's more coming forward, and now with the Houston Texans as defendants against Deshaun Watson, it just leads me to believe that there's more information out there, and I feel like this is not going to go away. Or at least anytime soon.
Maybe you could be right. I just don't know. I feel like the NFL has always been like a little slap on the wrist. You're fine.
But times are changing, man.
No, you're right.
What's that dude Machete? He's like, the women, they could do stuff now. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think times are just super different now, especially when it comes to the NFL.
You said it. It's so weird, dude. I mean, Gordon got suspended for an entire year for smoking weed.
Yeah, exactly.
You got people beating women.
Kareem Hunt.
Kicking kids. Couple games.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson.
Couple of games.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the NFL, they're kind of, especially with them being bigger now than they have ever been, there's almost like a little bit of sophistication now with the NFL, especially with like, okay, now we're trying to get like these old guys out of here, like this old guard, especially like the environment that came to news with Dan Snyder and his work environment that he's providing. Some of the stuff that's coming out of the Cowboys locker room, like, behind the scenes. I don't think the NFL can keep taking these hits because you're going to alienate half of the population, which is women, right?
Okay. Yeah. However, they're not there, and the NFL is doing just fine.
No, yeah, I know they're doing fine. Yes, I understand, but I feel like the NFL, they're trying to take this less, this WWE type of appeal where everything's a big show to now where like, okay, now it's a business. It's a little bit more sophisticated.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I feel, I don't know. You're right. Maybe the times have changed, but I just feel like in the past, the NFL doesn't really care about the public opinion.
In the past, but yes. I feel like this is all snowballing. It's just the NFL.
I think the reason why we don't know is because this is new, sorta, right? A situation like this is pretty big. Everything has always been like evidence.
Yeah, because you need the hardcore evidence because I mean you start getting situations like the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger, right, where he was indicted and he did settle that lawsuit outside of court, but that was one person.
Yeah.
Not 24. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do think, yeah, we haven't seen anything like this before, but then I feel like the NFL just feels like everything's adding up on them with the Dan Snyder stuff, the Miami Dolphins stuff, the Cowboys stuff, like stuff that's going on behind the scenes, especially when it's directly attacking women. And then they're making this whole campaign. It's been for like a couple years now where they want girls to start playing flag football, or more and more girls are starting to play football because they want to appeal to half of a population, which makes sense, right? When it comes to money.
We are what 8 months into the Dan Snyder stuff,
just about, and he still has his team.
What has been done?
I feel because
we are 3 months into Jerry Jones's cheerleader stuff. What has been done? But
then we've talked about that before. It's like these owners have way too much power or way too much of a stronghold over the NFL versus a player. Do you get what I'm saying? So they can attack a player versus an organization.
Yeah, but when you attack someone that you just spent $230 million on.
The NFL did it. The Browns did.
Yeah, but that directly affects the owner.
But the thing is I feel like with situation like this, the owner's going to have his hands tied, or the organizations are going to have their hands tied. I
think it's very, very difficult to argue the fact that you suspend this guy more than someone that got caught on camera beating the shit out of someone. I think it's very difficult to do that because it's all speculation. It's all hearsay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I see where you're coming from, and I see that there's no hardcore evidence. There's no proof like before with like other situations where there was video proof. This is so difficult. This is an incredibly difficult case.
It comes down to public opinion. How much does the NFL care about the public opinion?
Yeah, for sure. But we'll keep an eye on it. There's going to be more. I feel like as early as tomorrow we're going to get some more information about it. But I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to end it there. We've kind of gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to. But yeah, I mean, this conversation was fun. The content wasn't fun because all this stuff sucks, and I really hope it gets resolved. I mean, it's just it's a really bad situation for everybody that's involved.
Yeah,
the women that are involved, Deshaun Watson. I mean, if you're innocent, and this really sucks.
Okay.
But I mean 24.
He could be Johnny Depp, and we don't even know it, dude.
But 24 allegations later, man.
Or he could be.
It still looks pretty bad. Exactly. But yeah, we'll end it there. Thanks for coming by, man.
No problem.
For you guys at home, thanks for watching. We'll have more for you guys later as soon as we get a little bit more information.
Don't cancel us.
And then next time, hopefully, we'll have a little bit more lighthearted content than what we got here. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.
Peace.